Gene editing with CRISPR works like a hammer. Break the DNA and hope the repair does what you want. What if gene editing didn't require breaking the DNA? What if it worked more like an on-off switch instead of a cut? For the first time, researchers have figured out how to control genes without cutting them at all. We'll look at the 4 ways that this process is better than cutting DNA, but we'll also look at what goes wrong when we mess with the instructions for our cells. Let's dive in. I'm Ben. This is Physics or Bust. Traditional CRISPR relies on double-strand breaks, essentially snapping the DNA. From a physics standpoint, that's a brute force intervention. You're dumping a large amount of energy into a very small molecular system, forcing it way far from equilibrium. The cell then has to repair the damage using mechanisms that are probabilistic, error-prone, and context-dependent. This is why outcomes with CRISPR vary. You don't get a clean edit, you get a distribution of results. Insertions, deletions, rearrangements, all of it comes from injecting too much energy and making the system scramble back to stability. That's not precision control. That's damage followed by statistical hope. What are your thoughts on editing the instructions in our cells? Put your thoughts in the comments below. The breakthrough in this new gene editing process is that the researchers didn't change the DNA at all. Instead, what they changed was the epigenetic state of the DNA. Epigenetics controls whether the DNA is accessible, not whether it exists. One of the main epigenetic mechanisms is DNA methylation. Methyl groups act like molecular do-not-read tags. They don't change the code, they just block access to it. In many diseases, including cancers and a lot of gene disorders, the genes aren't broken, they're just silenced. The researchers used a non-cutting CRISPR system called dCAS to target specific genes and remove the methylation marks. That reopens the DNA for business, allowing the cell's natural transcription machinery to read the gene again. No cutting, no repairing, just restoring access. We'll dig into the physics in a minute, but first, if you like this video, you'd probably like this book. I've got a link in the description below. I do get a small commission, but it wouldn't cost you any extra. Cutting DNA is like tearing part of a page out of a book and taping it back in, hoping the paragraph still makes sense. Epigenetic editing is like removing a paperclip in a sticky note that says, "Do not read." The information was always there, you're just allowing it to be read again. Physically, it means that you're reshaping the energy landscape around the DNA. Instead of forcing a break, you're lowering the energy barriers that prevent the transcription from happening. You're changing probabilities, not structures. This approach works better because it respects how complex systems stay stable in 4 different ways. First, lower entropy injection. Cutting DNA is a violent event at the molecular scale. It injects disorder, broken bonds, exposed ends, and chemical instability that the cell must actively repair. That repair process consumes energy and introduces randomness. Epigenetic editing doesn't do that. By removing methylation marks, you're not breaking the system. You're relaxing constraints that were already there. From a physics standpoint, that's a much gentler approach. Second, you're working with energy landscapes, not against them. Genes aren't simply on or off. They exist in probabilistic states, shaped by chromatin structure, chemical tagging, and protein binding. Methylation raises the energetic barrier required for transcription. Removing it lowers the barrier. Instead of forcing the system over a cliff, you're smoothing the slope. That makes the results more predictable, more continuous, and easier to tune. Third is reversibility. It matters more than most people realize. Once DNA is cut and repaired, the change is permanent. By contrast, epigenetic changes can be gradual, adjustable, and potentially reversible. In physics, reversibility is often a marker of control, not a weakness. It means you can probe the system, observe the results, and back off if needed. That's essential for therapies that are going to operate over years or even decades. Finally, noise reduction. Traditional CRISPR methods rely on repair processes that can vary from cell to cell. That produces a wide outcome distribution. Epigenetic editing tightens that distribution. You're guiding a native process that the cell already uses, rather than hijacking it. That's also why this process scales better, both biologically and technologically. But here's the hard part. Epigenetics is powerful precisely because it's global. Methylation patterns help define cell identity, developmental timing, and long-term behavior. When you remove methylation from a gene, you're not just turning something on. You're changing how the cell might remember what it is. In physics terms, you may be nudging that system towards a different stable state. There's also the issue of network effects. Genes regulate other genes, and those genes regulate even more genes. So activating one pathway can cascade into feedback loops, unexpected emergent behavior, and competing regulatory signals. This is a hallmark of nonlinear systems. Small, well-targeted changes can result in disproportionately large outcomes. Then there's the issue of timing. Epigenetic changes don't always make immediate effects. Some effects don't unfold until after cell division or across developmental stages. That makes cause and effect harder to trace, and harder to reverse if something goes wrong. Precision doesn't eliminate risk, but it does change its shape. A system that allows genes to be activated without cutting DNA is much easier to deploy at scale. That might mean a medical advantage, but there's also a governance challenge. When genetic manipulation becomes easier, you have to watch out for abuses. This technology is a more subtle way of doing gene editing, but I wouldn't say that it's exactly safer. Anytime you're going to mess with the instructions inside the cells of our bodies, that is a risky business, and not a decision to ever take lightly. For more updates on science and tech, remember to like and subscribe, and remember, keep asking questions. I'll see you on the next video.